Hi, I'm Rory, aka Montfort Tales, and I'm going to go through the play sequence for the Almanac of Sanguine Paths. Each round has 3 phases. The letter phase, where you write a letter, the Almanac phase, where you'll interact with your almanac and whoever sent it, and the Chronicle phase, where you'll write about your life as a werewolf and also receive a letter. In a 2-player game, you begin in different phases. One player begins by writing a letter, and the other begins by interacting with their almanac. It's worth saying that if you've gone through the full character creation process and you're still feeling a bit lost about what to write, you can always use the optional rule, the story so far. This adds an extra Chronicle phase to the start of the game for both players to play through. The only difference is you don't receive a letter because you haven't started writing to each other yet. In the letter phase, you write a letter. The game comes with some handy advice if you're a bit out of practice and need some inspiration, and you're encouraged to write as your werewolf would. You'll say what you need to say, send the letter, and let the other player know that they have mail. There's only one real rule for this phase of the game. The letters you send between you should tell the story. And what do I mean by that? Well, imagine you play this game and you take all your letters and you make them into a book. You'll be left with a back and forth between 2 werewolves sharing their lives and influencing each other. And you want to make sure that you do share your lives. You can have secrets can be fun, but it's the things that you share that have an impact on how the game unfolds. In the Almanac phase, you'll draw 1 card from the Major Arcana, resolve all of the asset developments on it, more on that in a moment, and then react to a journaling prompt, incorporating those asset developments into your reaction. So this seems like a good time to talk about asset developments. You already know characters begin with 6 assets, 1 of each type: item, location, actor, scar, principle, and ambition. And throughout the game, you'll develop these assets in one way or another, gain some, lose some. The tarot card prompts come with instructions on what you should do when you draw them. But of course, if it ever feels appropriate, you can add additional developments as you see fit. There's 2 main keywords that drive asset development: develop and forfeit. You'll also see heal, progress, and regress be used, but they're just subsets of develop and forfeit. When you see an instruction that says develop a something, you can either add a new asset of that type or add information to an asset you already have. For example, if you're told to develop an item, you can add to your list a key that you found on the street, for example. Or if you already have a key, you could instead choose to add some information about it, such as knowing what door it unlocks. When you see an instruction that says forfeit a something, as you might guess, you strike through that asset. Something has happened that uses it up, discards it, or somehow makes it no longer available to you. The other words I mentioned, heal, progress, and regress, refer to scars and ambitions. Instead of forfeiting a scar, you heal it. It's a positive thing. And when you progress an ambition, you mark off one of its checkboxes and get closer to completing it. If you marked off the last box, you achieve it. Yay! Alternatively, when you regress an ambition, you suffer a setback and that unmarks a checkbox. If you're asked to forfeit something you don't have, choose another asset to forfeit. And if you have no assets left, your werewolf is destitute, and you should consult the rules and your fellow player on what should happen next. So let's go back to the Almanac phase and look at the card again. In the Almanac phase, we resolve all of the developments in any order we like, and we'll include what happened to them in our reaction to the journaling prompt. We do 2 things in the Chronicle phase, in whatever order we want. We receive a letter and read it, and we spend up to 3 Chronicle points taking the initiative and instigating events. The Chronicle phase is where you take the lead. First, state an intention and spend 1 Chronicle point. Then you draw a card from the Minor Arcana. An intention is simply, what do you want to do? try and ask a question when you say it, particularly a how, what, where, or why type question. For example, I want to explore the creek in the woods. How do I find my way? And then we draw a card and we see what the prompt has to say. The minor arcana cards are structured differently from the major ones. We have an initial prompt and then a choice between two ways of continuing it. Each choice has its own asset development and you only pick one to resolve. You can resolve the prompt all in one chunk or as two separate prompts, whichever makes most sense to you. But do the asset development that goes with your choice and weave that into your response. Be guided by your intention and the prompt to figure out what direction your story goes in. You can also spend a Chronicle point to add depth to an event that you're currently exploring. In this case, you don't state an intention, you just spend one Chronicle point and you draw a card from the minor arcana, and then you read its prompt and work that into the event that you're resolving. As before, you choose which asset development you want to pursue and work it all together into your journal entry. If you're playing a 2-player game, you should wait to receive a letter before moving back into the letter phase. This stops one player being overwhelmed with letters. But then you repeat the cycle again until you reach the end of the game. If something unfortunate should happen with your character and they meet an untimely end, consult the rules and anyone you're playing with.